All right, let's make sure we're in focus. Hi, it's me, Brady. Welcome back to my living room here. This is complete natural lighting in a perfect world. So I don't know what this video is. Here's how it started. I was sitting drinking my coffee thinking about light as I typically would. And I was like, how can I get some really soft light? Like, what's something I haven't really done? And I was like, a book light I love. And I was like, what if I did a book light with a panel? So I set on a mission because, I'm still healing, so I can't really get on set yet. So I was like, all right, let's just set up some lights and do try to get the softest light ever with a panel. So that's how it started. And I don't really know where we're at now because we've got hard light and we've got some soft light. I set up a whole scene. So I'm gonna break it all down here. First thing I did is this key light. At this point I knew I'm gonna take the Amaran F22C because it's a panel, it's 2x2, diffuse it in the softbox, bounce it off of a white bounce board, and then through diffusion. So I was like, this is just gonna keep diffusing and get softer and softer and softer. And I was like, this sounds fantastic. So I took the Amaran and just as like a control, I set it up with the softbox alone. And I was like, okay, this is pretty soft. It looks pretty nice and I like this. So we started with that. I was like, okay, I'm not satisfied. And okay, it looks really good. I'm not gonna lie. It looks great and it could definitely be passable, but I'm bored and I wanna try things. So I was like, let's take this bounce board. I think I got it's a white 5-in-1 reflector thing. It's like a 4-foot reflector square. So I set that up as an angle. So setting up a book light essentially is taking your light source, bouncing it off of a 45-degree angle. So like coming up, bouncing it off of that, and then going through another layer of diffusion. So essentially you're diffusing it here and diffusing it here. So by having this panel that was already diffused, diffusing it again, then another, I was like, okay, it's gonna be really, really soft. So we did it. So we got in place. And it was soft. It was really soft and I liked it. And I looked at it for about half a second before this all unraveled. So I think I like it. Once I look on the computer, we'll see. But it's definitely not the only way to get soft and diffuse light. Don't get me wrong. That is not what I'm saying here. You can bounce it. You can put a hard source through diffusion. There are a ton of options that we don't need to talk about here. Theory was kind of true of soft light bounced off of a bounce board, then diffused again to get us to that key light. But then I was like, all right, now let's start to, spice things up a little bit. And I was like, it's kind of sunny outside. I want to add a slash of light. So let's talk about this little guy. You can see some of it here. We've got hard light. And I mean, if I take it on and off, it's on, off, on, off. It's doing a lot. So I was like, okay, I don't want it as a rim light because I just wasn't feeling like the contrast of soft light here, hard light here. I was like, let's just do something different. So I put it on this side and I had to squeeze it over in that little corner that's out here. And originally I set up the 600D with the spotlight mount. That's what we've got it on, 600D spotlight off from Aperture. And I had that tucked in the corner, kind of shooting over here, but it wasn't at the exact angle that I wanted. It wasn't hitting over here primarily on the floor. So I was like, oh shoot, I need a bigger balcony. Couldn't do that now, so instead I went and got a mirror because mirrors are really good for reflecting light. So I took the mirror and stuck it in the corner. So now the light is going to be coming from that mirror essentially as it bounces off of that. And then I just tucked the 600D just out of frame over there, kind of bouncing down on the mirror and then coming across the floor, and I shaped it exactly where I wanted it. So that looked pretty nice and I was happy with it. And it's at 33%. And then right here, I've just got what do I have? In this light, I've got a Philips Hue bulb. I could have used an Aperture B7C, but I had the Philips bulb just plugged in. I got it from Home Depot, $11 or $12, and it doesn't flicker. And then right on top of that lamp, you can see, I'm a fraud. There's not actually, there's a rim light that we talked about. And that is just an Aperture MC. And it's just on a little tripod thing on top of the light. And it's just motivating this little separation rim light here. You can see it maybe on my shoulder. Yeah, that looks like it right there. Yeah, it's doing something there as well. And then last but not least, we added a lot of haze because I like haze and it actually does really nice here and makes a little bit of separation behind me. I tried to aim it for back here, not right here, because that's kind of what you want to do with haze. It's just keep it in the background. So it's adding atmosphere as it falls into, forever Everland. But you don't want to lose the contrast and quality here. So partway through setting this up, I was like, is this dumb? Like, is there any point to any of this? Other than, I guess, practice. Yeah, practice is a huge thing. I was just kind of, tooling around. I don't think I would necessarily go to this setup all the time on set unless I've got a really dark environment. And reason being is if you're diffusing the panel, which is a 200 watt light, if you're diffusing that panel and then bouncing it off of a bounce board, you're losing light already. And then if you cut through a half grid diffusion, you're losing another stop or stop and a half on top of that. So you don't have a ton of light. So you either have two options: control the outdoors and make sure it's not super bright outside. If you're in a really dark environment, you're good to go. Or get more output and get more brightness, whether it's a stronger light or more lights and more diffusion, like a wider, because it's gonna spread. So more lights or controlling your environment. So I wouldn't say that it's stupid, but I wouldn't say it's my go-to lighting setup, but I did really just kind of want to play around with some things here, and I don't know how I got here. It was supposed to be a one light, that's all I was supposed to do, is just put it up, put it down, and now my apartment is a disaster. But the lens looks pretty cool. Oh, and I've also got these practicals that are right up there. You can barely see them. It's like, you can see it over here too, in the TV. So one of the benefits actually of using a book light in a scene like this or a scenario is because my apartment's not big. My living room is small, so I needed something really, really compact, and a book light is great to diffuse light in a very small space. So I kind of want to break everything down just once more for you before we go. So we started with the F22C, that Amaran light, and that was at 5600 Kelvin, and I had that open face at first just with the softbox. And then on top of that, we added the book light setup. So it did get significantly softer when we diffused it and diffused it again. Then I added in kind of that slash of sunlight, and that was coming from the aperture 600D through a spotlight, and that light is daylight Kelvin as well, so 5600. And I bounced that off of the mirror just to rake across the bush and the floor and me as I was writing, and it looked pretty good. And then from there, I turned on the Philips Hue bulb, just to like soft white. I'm assuming it's like a 3200 Kelvin. So I matched that with the aperture MC that I put on top of that, a 3200 Kelvin, just open face pointing down on me just for this little rim light. And then one other practical I put was just the bulb lights that I had plugged in already on that porch. And then plenty of haze. So that's the setup, and I was just playing around, honestly. I don't know how. I had an intention. I sat with my coffee and I wrote down all my notes, and I was like, this is what you're gonna do, this is what you're gonna talk about. And then I started recording and I completely flipped the script. So that leads us to here. So I don't really know what this video is. Call it a lighting breakdown, call it something. I'll figure it out when I post it. So I'll see you guys next time, and I love you and appreciate you, and I gotta go. So adios, toodaloo, bye-bye. Ooh, it's got a nice catch light. Ooh, look at that. Oh wait, look at that. The twinkle in my eye. Looks pretty good.